¿Quién quiere empezar? ¿Quién quiere empezar?
Empezar. ¿Quién, what are you?
¿Quién is not what, so start again.
Who?
Who quiere
Wants to
empezar?
start.
To start.
There you go.
Empezar. I didn't know empezar. Yeah.
I didn't either. I guessed when she said who wants to.
I think it's on the list of verbs, or
It is.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that whole memory thing again.
It's so funny because I got out. You should see my area where I'm sitting. It looks like a paper of just like a bomb went off of Spanish papers. And I started going through some of the verbs again. And the ones that I didn't remember, I remember. And the ones that I remember now, I'm like, why can I not remember that? It's like my mind only wants to grab onto so many of them.
That's why I don't want you to use any app to learn more words, because the ones you have now are the ones that are going to serve you the best. Like, imagine to start. When did it start? Right? Who started? Like, gonna use it a lot more than you know. Anyways, rant over. Okay. So we're gonna take a break and return on the week of the 22nd of October, April. And I wanted to ask you, like, I can give you homework, quote unquote, but nothing happens if you take a break for a week. Like, it's not like you're gonna forget. So do you prefer something to work on, or do you really want to take a break?
I'm personally going to work on stuff. So if you want to give something, that's great. I think what I'm going to do is all the paperwork that you've already given us, especially the verbs, just going through that and just staying on top of it. Like today, I rewrote all of the belongings in Spanish. You know, me, mio, mias, mis, that kind of stuff. And you know, some of them I know, and some of them I don't realize I know until I'm saying something in Spanish, and then I'll say it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that word. See, but when I am speaking, the belongings, I don't always say accurately. So I just rewrote them to practice, you know. So stuff like that, I felt like I was going to do on break.
I mean, I like writing the stories and,
yes,
you know, just writing what happened yesterday, what's happening tomorrow, what, you know, just things that I say in everyday life, how am I going to use that and say it properly?
Everything you guys write, I want you to write it with the intention you're going to say that to somebody. Like, I don't care if you corner one of the people that works in your compo and just give them your story. Because I want you to, like, so instead of keeping it theoretical exercises and sentences, move it into a frame of a conversation, a story. And if you're not going to be in San Felipe for a while, come and tell it to us in class.
Okay.
And you can do all that, like with the verbs, the belongings, everything is there for everyday use, conversation purpose. Okay, so what do you want to start with today? Does anybody have questions, doubts, things they want to clear, things they want to practice? I have a plan, but I want to check out with you first if you have anything on your plate.
I have what I hope is not a rabbit hole, just a
Wally Jr.
So one that I don't think is on the verbs is to stay. And I find that I use that a lot because I'm going or staying, or, you know, we have coming back. So it's, I Googled it, and I think we've talked about it too. Quedarse?
Right. Well,
but
if it
that's
ends
not
with a
a
say,
verb.
it's not a root verb. You already know that.
That's what
So,
confused me. So again, the Google messed me up.
yeah, Google is not good to learn Spanish because, anyways, it used to be on the list of verbs, and then I guess the people I worked with before, like for a year or 2 or 3, they didn't use it that much, so I took it off. I'll put it again. The verb is quedar. I'll type it in. Now, that saying there is the next thing I'm planning to work on with you. And I was actually planning to give it to you like as something you can, play around with during our break. Because even if you don't touch it, doesn't matter. We're still gonna all, learn it when everybody comes back. Well, the say in there, a say is a pronoun, just like me and te and le. And that say pronoun only shows up when you do the action on yourself, or it's a general action. I won't really go really deep into it because I'll leave you like info you can like look and digest and get oriented yourself. Because I want to see like what direction you'll go, and then we'll assemble all again the week we come back and go over it. But yeah, every time you see a verb that ends with the se, that means quedarse. Or it doesn't happen on every verb. Like the say is a tricky thing. It's a very distinct piece of information that has very distinct rules, and it can only happen under certain rules, right? So it's not like just a general verb or a pronoun. It's a very specific thing. Do you want me to talk more, or is that enough for now?
Well, say the say at the end. Yeah, do you mind talking a little bit about the say at the end? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So firstly, Heidi, for your purposes, you can use quedar like you use any other regular verb. So voy a quedar, vamos a quedar, estoy quedando, right? I'll type in a few of those.
Vas a quedar 2 días.
San Felipe, 2 semanas, right? Okay.
Because isn't sentarse said quite a bit too? Sentarse?
You know what the thing is? Like the books and like the Google and the websites, they tell you that it happens quite often. But really in real life conversation, you don't hear that as frequently as you would think. It's only frequent like when you open a blog or a Google search and you're like AI is like, oh yeah, that's quedarse and lavar. Most people don't actually say that. Like, yeah, it will show up, but it's not the prime example. So before I explain more, I'm gonna show Heidi and you too how you can use with quedar. So basically it's to stay over, stay the night, stay 3 nights in Austin, Texas, stay at the Wyndham Hotel, whatever, right? Stay by the pool. I'm gonna stay here. He stayed in the room, right? Voy a quedar en la alberca. I'm gonna stay in the pool. Anything you're gonna say in English with to stay, you're gonna say that with quedar. Okay. It's not an irregular verb, so you can use all the verb endings to work with it, no problem. Okay, so se is a pronoun, and it doesn't really exist in English. So most English speakers I worked with and met, they really had, it took them quite a few weeks to grasp that thing. Maybe you guys will be different and you will surprise me, and then, it's gonna be faster for you. I don't know, like maybe, you do anything long enough, you get surprised. What I will do is we're gonna open with a few proper by the book explanation. This is a proper explanation written by some experts or other with a master's degree. You can look at that. And now I'll summarize it in plain English, because that's like, if even I don't really understand what he wants to say, it makes it really uncomplicated.
Well, is it like rentame?
Yeah, but yes,
What did
but
it say?
yes, but right. It is like yes, but
Oh, what did I just do?
any other pronoun. Why am I saying but? Any other pronoun you use, the may would indicate rent to me. If it's Anna Maria in you and only Anna Maria wants to rent because you already have a house, then it's rent a lei, right? Like rent to her. The say indicates that the action is going to either be done upon itself or it's a general action. That's why say would not work. Never mind. There's different like grades to the rabbit hole. I just want to get you to the entrance. Did I answer your question, or should I try to answer from a different angle?
Let me think here. So I get say as a pronoun, and you're saying that say is kind of used in a general sort of way. So it's not like
not accurate. No, it's not accurate. Not accurate what you said.
Okay.
Okay. Firstly, remember we have two scenarios with pronouns. Either it comes before the verb or it's plugged into the verb.
Mm-hmm.
This one probably wasn't the best example to start with because it's easier to understand. Firstly, the logic of when it comes before the verb, and then you kind of can see what it does and how it works at the end. I'm gonna remove this image and we're gonna rewind.
So kudarse.
Kudarse, yeah.
Does it mean like she say refers to he or she or it?
Okay, say, you're right. Say never works for I, you, or we, right? So most of the time when you see a say opening the sentence, you automatically know it's not an I, it's not a you, and it's not a we. It might be any one of those others. This is why Google Translate gives you this answer with zero context, right? And tells you, and it's not working for every scenario at all, right? Works 30% of scenarios. They're not explaining, and people kind of try to understand themselves, and it's like.
So what does kudarse mean? She stays, but
No,
stay her, stay it, stay him?
It means. It's not that I'm trying to be a smart Heidi. It's just so hard to answer that in English. I'm going to try my best, okay? Be patient with me.
I get it.
Say is a pronoun that is used under two conditions only, okay? One, when the action is general. What does that mean? Joe comes to you and says, hey, honey, they said on the news that they're going to close Highway 5 and you got to take a different route, okay? You go to Joe and like, oh, listen, I heard them saying, they said on the weather report, it's going to be really windy, so we shouldn't drive at night. Who is those they people? They said on the news.
Oh, they.
We all get it, but they're general, right? And did I say it to you personally? No, they said it to general, right? Another example. Oh, they're making road work, right? It's going to be completed. They're building a new highway. They've closed the bridge for maintenance, right? They're going to repair the water pipe. Who are they?
Get it.
Right? General. So, general says, se dicen que va a llover esta noche. Se dicen. Let me just type it into the chat so you guys can like track back. Se is used to purposes. general action. That in the news. Se dicen que va a llover toda la próxima semana. What did I say? If you just ignore the say, what did I say?
Like they said that we're
Cheer.
to go
Going to the next week. Yover.
Sorry, I should have.
Yover.
It's yover.
Oh,
yover. To rain.
Oh, to rain.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So they said it's gonna rain next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dicen is he, she, it says, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to rain, that's the va'a. Why is the saying there, right? They say. Technically, judged on everything you learned, you don't really need the saying there.
Right.
They say decent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect logic. The only problem is this is part of Spanish and the way people talk, so they would use it if they have a chance, even if typically there's no logical reason for it to be here or it's redundant or whatever, right? The only reason I'm teaching you is because that's what people say. One of the best qualities of say when it shows up in the beginning of a sentence is that if you remove it, you can still be able to understand what's happening. Dicen que va a llover. They say it, right? So that's one of your benchmarks. If you can remove the say and you still understand the sentence and it makes sense, well, then it's a general action. They say, who is those they people, right? And or it's an action done upon itself, which is my second point. And number two, number two is done upon itself. Action, my voice is funky. Actions that are done upon itself. To get up, to sit down, to brush your hair, to tie your shoes, to put on a sweater, to take off your sweater, right? To drink, to think, to see. It's an action, somebody's doing it, but there's no recipient, right? So, action done upon there's many examples I can give you. I'm trying to think about the best one to open with. Okay, it looks really good. Anna Maria is trying a new dress. I'm with her in the dressing room, and she's like, okay, how do I look? I'm like, you know what? This looks really good. It looks very good. Se ve muy bien. Se ve muy bien. Why is the se over there? Well, the thing looks. I'm using a verb. Verbs are actions, right? Actions typically happen between either a person is doing an action on an object. I'm opening, I'm closing it, right? Or an action happens between two people. Look at Anna Maria. She's drinking. She's doing an action on an object, the cup, the liquid, the whatever, right? She's doing an action. She's also doing it on herself. Like, what is the result of all this action? The liquid goes in her. There is no, like, result. Sometimes you do an action like open the AC or lower the AC, then that's an action with a result. An action is also between two people, to call somebody, to hand you, to give you, to make you your meal, right? To give you your change. An action that's done upon itself Remember, in Spanish, verbs are actions, so they kind of have special rules for them. It looks really good. Se ve muy bien. %99 of Mexican people will never say this phrase any other way. It's just the way we say it. You know, you grow up, you hear your parents, by the time you speak, it's how you say it because you don't know any other way. Se ve muy bien. It looks really good. I am doing the looking. I'm the one doing the action of looking, and you're the one, you know, doing the action of wearing the dress. And the dress looks good, but the dress is a static option, incapable of doing any actions at all, right? So where is the logic in this? That's where the logic fails for English, but makes perfect sense in Spanish. Se ve muy bien.
So it's theirs to see. Why wouldn't you use mirar to look?
Mirar is to look.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's just we use it that way in English till it looks good.
Which brings me to my next point. The good news is that a lot of those things, you can just learn the phrases is. Just like buenos dias. Who cares what's the logic? It's what you say. Or you want to say, this is really useful because you say, oh, this looks really good. If you're looking on my like taco stand or my, you know, baking goods and you want to try something, right? Okay. The food looks really tasty, right? You have to use tasty in English. You just say, se ve muy bien, se ve muy rico. Se ve muy rico. If I want to give a compliment to like somebody about their tacos, their cake, their whatever, I'm like, oh, this looks really good. Se ve muy rico. Se ve muy complicado. It looks really complicated.
Could you say lo ve complicado?
You could say anything, like anything, right? Depending on your meaning. Mm-hmm. What you just said means it seems to me very complicated. It looks to me like it's complicated. It seems to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you just want to, you know, say what you think in English, and it's like it looks. Look at the translation I put. I literally put it looks equals se ve.
Okay, so it's not belonging to really anybody.
But it's not a question of belonging, so I'd rather you not use that label.
Okay.
It's not sorry, I'm like itching. We have the coconut is blooming and all the bloom is dry and falls down. It's like tiny, tiny little flowers. Oh, you go outside and you're like, and the other tree is blooming. So I got white things, I got coconut things. It's pretty. Ask me a question again. Like, why do you talk about belonging in the context of all this? Look at my examples and like tell me why do you think belongings factors?
Well, because when you say lo ve muy complicado, you're basically saying I see it to be complicated, right?
If you say lo, you're gonna say lo veo because I see it.
Lo veo, but what about lo ve?
Makes zero sense. The pronoun doesn't correspond to the verb. To a Spanish speaker, it's gibberish. Like, I don't understand what you want to say because this doesn't match. Gibberish. No existe.
Because so the only oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, what did you just say? Lo ve muy complicado? Is that your example?
Yeah, could that be it looks
No, it can't.
very
Why?
complicated?
Why? Ve is the
Ve.
verb ending for he, she, or it, right? Okay, and let's say it's not, it's a he, she, or it. Lo is an it object. Since when is an it object capable of doing actions that affect people, especially when you want to see it seems? Like that's the logic in English. That is, if in English the it does the action of to see. But that's not really what you're saying. Your mind is I see it as if it's complicated. So it's still you doing the action. That's why the verb is incorrect.
Mhm.
It's general because it seems very complicated. You're not saying, listen, at this point in time, I reject this. It looks way too hard for me. I don't want to do it. Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Or he says, oh, this dress looks really good, or this taco looks good. It's a general thing, right?
That's why I feel like it doesn't belong to anybody. It's like the verb needs to be specific, but the say is the part that has no belonging.
You kind of are right. Like maybe your words aren't as precise, but the general container,
Yeah.
yes, it's very good. General action. We're going into subtleties. Like it's great, but it's also not like going to be the rescue, the lifeline. That's so it's nice, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so what I want to say about is it looks really good, it looks really hard, it looks cold, it looks difficult, it looks expensive, it looks cheap. Anytime you say those things in English, you're gonna say se ve. Right?
Okay.
Se ve caro. That looks expensive. Okay.
Extract silverware drawer here.
Okay, Anna Maria, should I tell it?
So the they part, because the they is he, she, or it.
Yeah. It's kind of like a stretch of reality. It's as if the it person is doing the action, but it things cannot do an action. Like the dress looking good on you, it's not really doing anything, is it? It's kind of like a construct of human language to transmit your idea, even though technically the dress doing nothing.
So would you always use the verb, I say always lightly. So would you always use the verb he, she, or it with say? Or can you use other?
Not always. Yes, you will use the he, she, it, the they, and you all.
The they and you all, okay.
Which brings me to my earlier point, say would not apply for I, you, or we. So the only persons you left is he, she, it, they, you all. Which means when you hear a say, wherever, but at beginning or end of the verb, you can, most of the time it's an it. It's really frequent. You can get it as an it, and then your test is that if you remove the say from the sentence, you like still understand that it's a normal sentence. Vecaro. It looks expensive, right?
Yeah, and I know that was just said above, so I apologize, but it finally clicked.
No, it's fine. It will take 6 times for me to say those things. Ask as many times as you need. It's no problem. So yeah, say would a lot of times would be referring to an it, but if it's not, like sedisen, which very clearly isn't an it, well, when you see a say, you know it's either he, she, it, they, or you all. Like those are the persons you got to determine from.
Okay.
And of course you have the verb, and the verb ending will tell you who's doing it, what time tense. Okay. Going back to Heidi's original question, quedarse. Quedarse means to stay. We already know Spanish and English are different. A lot of things are just phrased differently. So in Spanish, we use a lot, still to this day, still young people do it, like oneself. Remember that from Old English?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I guess they talk like this in the movies from the 40s. One always must wear a dress because one never know, or clean underwear, one never knows when it's gonna get buried, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would refer to themselves as one. Who is that one? It's not me personally, it's like a general. Now you get it? One must always wear a nice dress for dinner. So we do say that in Spanish. Uno necesita, and that's very general. Sentarse, it means to sit down. Obviously, a human being is doing it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an action that done on itself. Or kedar, I'm sorry, it was kedar the example. It's to stay. It's an action done upon yourself. Heidi is doing an action, but there is no clear recipient. She's staying. Like, what? The bed, the room, the door she's opening, the money she's paying in reception. Like, who is the recipient of her action? Spanish logic means if you do an action, there's got to be a recipient. It always, like, it's an energy that pings. One side doing it, one side receives it, or pings it back, right? So in cases where there's no clear container to stay, to sit down, like, who is receiving it? It looks good. We use se. It's kind of like, you know, that's where you can remove it if nothing happens to the sentence. It's kind of like a neutral container where your energy pings off of it. Everybody's happy, content, order restored to the world. And it's kind of a language construct.
Would you say, okay, I'll give you two examples. Would you say quedarse aquí mañana, or would you say, or could you say quedando, staying, right? Estoy quedando aquí mañana.
Okay, well, firstly, you know, there's 2 to 3 ways to phrase anything in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Even something as simple, like you go to reception at a hotel and like, hey, I want to stay here for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 possible ways you can say it. All valid, all grammatically correct in Spanish, right?
Okay.
Most Mexicans, however, they won't really use quedándose. Like
Okay.
if you come to me at reception, like, hey, I want to pay for 3 days. Quiero quedar aquí, or vamos a quedar, or necesitamos quedar, right? They don't really say a se. Typically, kind of like with nos vemos. When I taught you about nos vemos, I said it's a double whammy. Vemos is we doing the action. Nos is we pronoun. So it's like we see each other, right? It's double whammy. When you gotta say at the end of the verb, especially a verb that is like quedar, it's a solitary action. It's not a general scenario. When it's solitary action, you're the one speaking to me. I really clearly understand. You're gonna do the action on yourself. Most Mexicans won't say that. They will, however, use the se in different, maybe not in quedarse, but you will hear quedándose. Quedando, yendo, ando, quedándose. I'll type it in so you can see it. Quedándose. I'll give you an example. Should spell it with an S. That was my wrong. 1 second. Here's an example. It rained so hard last summer that a lot of the trees stayed without leaves. It was incredible. Like, it was rain, there was wind 3 days straight. Like, most of the trees stayed naked after that storm. The trees stayed naked. It rained so hard, it left the trees naked. Okay? When I tell you that in Spanish, those 2 sentences, the trees, quedar, they stayed. The trees are plural, so I would use the they, people, or they ending, right? But that's an action. The action happened to the trees, right? The trees never did anything. The whole action happened upon them, leaving them with a result, which I now need to describe. Something changed as a result of that action. But the trees are incapable of doing actions. They're static, they're not active. That's when I'm going to put the saying there. Se llovió tanto la semana pasada y había tanto viento y una tormenta de 3 días y los árboles sí se afectaron mucho, quedándose casi pelones. This is like really country speak. Like, I'm sorry, I went to the deep countryside last Saturday? Like, I'm telling you, like a village with dusty streets, like 20 minutes from civilization, 20 minutes from the airport and the beach and the Riviera, you know, old like Jalisco adobe houses, basically nobody in the streets, dusty streets, like kids in the river, like 100 years ago, right? And then we were looking for a veterinary supply for their dog medicine, and I had to talk to a whole bunch of country people about. I learned a new word, foraje. Foraje, it's apparently the name for animal supply stores.
Oh.
You know, they sell hay, they sell alfalfa. I was in deep country, so like, this is the way you talk. This is the key to understanding. And you know, it's like, oh, you see that tree? You go like 5 more minutes up the road from that tree, and there's a sign, there's a truck, there's a guy that sells fruit. That's the directions we go.
It sounds like where we live in San Felipe.
Yeah.
We have all dirt roads.
It's all dirt roads. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's people on the side of the road, like people be like the Marisco Restaurante. Like people are like, oh yeah, next to the tire there's a tire place.
Yeah, turn by the cactus, the big cactus, you know, and you'll see a few tires and painted rocks.
Yep, I love it. So quedándose, the action happened upon something, multiple things or people, we don't know, but it left them. Look at it. In English, it left them. It left them. We just phrase it from the other point of view. They stayed. Quedándose. We say they stayed, but what we mean to say is it left them.
So as far as Spanish goes, at what point do you think Heidi and I need to be familiar with this?
Okay, well, the good news is
this in 6 months?
The good news is we took a fun swim at the deep side of the ocean.
Right.
And it's really not something you can totally live fine without it. The more time goes by, the more these things will naturally click for you. Because you will understand like 95% of what the person is saying. It's going to be those, 3%, 2% little pieces of Lego that's going to fall into place, and you'll naturally understand.
Right.
So don't worry about this. I'm going to teach you the practical uses of say, straightforward examples, easy to follow, simple like rules that they're going to cover. Occasionally you meet somebody that speaks different and you'll find a word. Just like, listen, like 17 years in Mexico, I learned foraje for the first time. Never heard it before in my life. So, yeah, you can totally live fantastic. The biggest payoff is you're going to understand that when you see say, you don't need to lose your cool.
Mm-hmm.
You either remove it completely from the sentence, and if it stays the same, then you know it's a general action. And you don't even have to speak that way. You'll just understand more of what people are saying to you.
I have heard a lot of people say "Cómo se llama?"
Well, say is also used for an usted. ¿Cómo te llamas is me speaking to you non-formally. But if I call you usted, you have to use a whole bunch of usted comes with its own little universe of words. Like the minute you use usted, you're going to use a whole bunch of designated pronouns, verbs, verb endings, da. That's why I don't teach you. And that's why I said don't use it the first 3 years, because you can't,
Right.
But yeah, instead of como te llamas, como
Mhm.
se llama? How, what is sir's name? Right? It's
Mhm.
third person. Okay. Or let's say when I'm talking about a third person, I'm showing you like a fruit, right? Like that's a fruit. Like, oh, what's the name of this fruit? ¿Cómo se llama esta fruta?
Mm.
Okay, I'll type it in. ¿Cómo
Yeah,
se llama esta fruta? Why?
because it's the
Because there's an action, llamar. But it's not like, how do I do the action? Or tell me how you do it. Or it's like, what's it called, right? Like general action? Enter the se.
okay. And the fruit can't do the action.
The fruit, yeah, exactly. Those unanimated objects, they never do any action.
Okay.
What's the fruit? That's why sometimes you hear, oh, Heidi, I sent you a whole bunch of like motocross YouTube videos from Mexico.
Yes.
Okay, like last Monday, I spent like 2 hours on YouTube deep diving into motocross, Mexico, motocross, dirt bike riding in Mexico in Spanish for Heidi to watch. And they needed to like speak clearly. There's some great videos, but those guys have Sinaloa accent. Like they've got some big country accent. Like you guys have no chance. Some guys from Spain. It was beautiful, but you can hear like, so, you know, there's a really big culture here of, you know, dirt bike riding, there's championships. It's a really big world. The people who do that, you know, they're not like the gardener and the cleaner that makes 5,000 pesos a month. They're middle-class people. They've the trucks, the thing, like it's a whole sport. Well, when you hear them speak, a lot of them, like one of the videos, they went to Costa Rica. There's a club and they went to Costa Rica and met up with other people there and did the whole thing. When you hear very educated native Spanish speakers speak English, they sound really good, like normal American English, la la la, and then all of a sudden they say something really weird. What's this fruit called? And it's not because they don't know. It's because you literally translate your thoughts from Spanish to English on the fly, and that is literally ¿Cómo se llama esta fruta?
Yeah, like I have said before, I have a much greater understanding of the errors that my Spanish-speaking staff make when they speak English. Like, even though they've been in our country for a long period of time, there are, you know, it's backwards for us and it's backwards for the way we do it is backwards for them.
That's why immigrants or whatever, they'll never like speak 100%. And if you have a conversation 25 minutes in one language and all of a sudden you move to the other, you're gonna like, you know, kind of speak funny for the first 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because your brain waves, it's ether. You don't really have a language there. Okay, ¿cómo se llama esta fruta? Let's say you want to ask your neighbor for a recipe, or they gave you a fish and they tell you gotta, you know, stew it or bake it or whatever, and it's gonna come out really good. And you wanna know, how do you do it? ¿Cómo se hace? I don't know, chile en nogada, right? How do you make chile en nogada? Or,
No.
how do you do or how do you make? ¿Cómo se hace? You could say cómo yo hacer or cómo puedo hacer or cómo lo hago. ¿Cómo lo hago? How will I do it? It's pretty much just saying the same thing. For Spanish speakers, it's the same thing. Only my job is to teach you to understand what people are saying to you. And then what are you going to do when they say this? That's what I'm teaching you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I may not completely remember, but I know I will remember talking about this, and it's kind of in there.
Well,
Keep it in there.
it's something we talk about, that generalized, who are they that said that, when people are talking in conversation. I know Joe and I will say that to each other every once in a while. Well, who are they? And do we trust the general they and what they said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
another.
I think I'll recognize it when I hear it as well. Like now, otherwise I would be like, what's say?
Right. I've said say, like, like como se llama, sentarse, things like that, but not ever really knew what I knew what I was saying, but I didn't know why the say was there. But mostly just on a handful of things, nothing like conversationally, just certain words.
Here's an example for you. Se van a cerrar la carretera.
You're going to close the road for 5 hours on Thursday for road work.
Okay.
They're going to close the road. You guys are driving often, so that applies to you. So if I want to let you know, or your neighbor in San Felipe wants to let you know that they're going to close the highway Thursday, who are those day people?
For the potholes.
You don't know how true that is here.
Yeah.
We have terrible potholes.
They're going to close the highway. Here is the thing. Most frequently, if you see a say, it either applies to an it object or they people that generally said something or going to open an OXXO down the street. That's it, really. Like those two are going to cover 85% of your bases. The other stuff are like funky stuff. Don't worry about it.
Would you say, just as an example, if I wanted to ask what her dog's name was, if I was talking to Heidi, would I say, ¿Cómo se llama ellas? No. Okay.
What is the number one belonging word for yours? Your house, your car, your husband. How do you say that? It's not a sparrow. There is a designated belonging word for yours.
Tus.
One single dog?
Two.
Perfect. So ask me again.
Okay, so ¿cómo se llama tu perros nombre?
Oh, say that one more time.
No, if I was asking Heidi what that girl's dog's name was.
Oh,
right?
that girl's. Okay,
That
well,
girl's.
Great. So what is the belonging word for her dog?
I just wrote all this.
Yes, exactly.
De ella.
That's great. The ella is definitely one of the ways to say it. There's also a shorter word. If it's not two, there's a similar word to it.
Sus.
Yes, perfect. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, so ask again.
¿Cómo se llama sus perro?
If you use sus, it's multiple, so you can't just say one dog. You gotta say.
Okay, ¿cómo se llama su perro?
100% correct.
So because it's kind of in general and it's that other person's dog, you can put it, it's kind of like the
Well,
fruit.
No, but in this case, it's not general. You just named the object. The minute you name the object, the dog, like that's a very specific sentence, right? It's not general.
That's
the dog
true.
is named, but the dog isn't it.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to say.
Okay.
What's
Okay.
it called? What's it called, right?
Yeah. Okay.
If I would speak in English, what's it called? I probably don't sound correct or very polished, and you would correct me at a certain point if I was your friend or your student.
Okay.
But this is the concept. What's it called? What's it called in Spanish? Now ask me that. How do you say that what's it called in Spanish?
¿Qué es llamado?
You are getting complicated. You can use all of this in that shorter way we're working on now. Try again.
Oh, ¿qué es llamarse? Llamarse.
No, neither. Even simpler. Try again.
Oh, ¿qué lo llamar?
8.5 out of 10, which is, hey, it's a good score. Only it's not the topic we're on. So I'm telling you to do it with the topic we're on based on everything we talked about in the last 5 minutes. And it's going to be short and efficient.
¿Qué se llama?
You're missing the mark. Look at the sentence
Oh my
previously.
gosh. You do it, Heidi. I've already said
¿Cómo
four
se
different
llama en
ways.
español?
Yes, exactly, Heidi.
What is it?
It's the same thing you did with the dogs. The exact same.
¿Cómo se llama en español?
Yes. ¿Cómo se llama en
It's
español?
called in Spanish.
¿Cómo se llama? Okay.
I'm sorry. There's a maid that's coming and she's looking for my house. 1 second.
Okay.
Bueno.
Hola.
Hola.
Judith, this is Gaby. Estoy aquí en la calle Galeana,
Ajá.
Francisco Madero.
Ah, ok, perfecto. Estaciónate.
Aquí me estacioné aquí enfrente de los apartamentos.
Ajá, así es.
En una casa azul.
Ok, ¿qué coche tienes?
Una Blazer blanca. Aquí estoy en la Francisco Madero y la calle Galeana.
Ok.
Estoy en la pura esquina.
En la pura esquina. Perfecto. Espérate, ahorita salgo para abrirte. Ahí voy.
Okay. Bye.
Gracias, bye.
Ana Maria, have you done yoga at the community center?
No, have you?
Yeah, quite a bit. And now they have weightlifting.
Oh.
They have a circuit. So I did that this morning.
Oh, that's nice.
Were you guys able to hear me talk to her? Or
Yes,
her speaking to
A
me?
little bit. Like, what kind of car does she have? Right? Did you say that?
I'm glad you caught that, but I was hoping you'll get all the pronouns I was putting there for your benefit.
I heard you say something about the station.
Estacionate is what I told her.
Estacionate.
Oh, the te at the end.
So you park.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, this is a normal conversation with a normal person, and all those. Espérame, ahorita voy a abrir. All those things. Okay, so ¿cómo se llama en español? What is it called in Spanish?
Okay.
Ana Maria, what you know how to say is great. Only I want to give you like a shorter, more efficient tool that makes life simpler.
I don't know why I went round and round and round on that one, but yeah, ¿cómo se llama? Yeah.
You came up with a lot of different versions.
This is what goes through my head.
Okay, Heidi and I are going to be here. So Ana Maria, you're going to be here tomorrow, right?
Oh, tomorrow is Thursday, right?
Yeah.
I totally overbooked myself and I won't be.
Okay, how about Friday? You gonna be there on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm gonna leave it for now. Right now, I'll give you a note how say works in Spanish. And Heidi, I'm gonna email you a bunch of things you can work on and some more material for vacation. So you have it. And you can listen to a recording from tomorrow and Friday, and all the stuff is gonna also be in the chat, but I'll also email you like everything all at once.
So you had talked on last Thursday's class, which I listened to on my way down to San Felipe, about methods of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And did you send those, or have you?
Remind me, what was I saying about?
I guess it's methods of memory or methods of, just methods of learning.
Yeah, what was I saying about it though?
That you were asking, I think it was Sharon and Wally, if they would be interested in that if we spent some time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Memory methods, learning methods.
Yeah.
Now when I do study, I'm starting to write the verb, 65 times if I can't remember what a verb is, and that really helps.
Mm-hmm. Me
the
too.
Sticky note thing is hard for me because we're never in one place very long, or like we're this place 2 days, that place 3 days, and so it doesn't. I have the sticky notes and I look at them here and there, but they aren't on my bathroom mirror. I mean, I guess I could put one at the house in Mexico and one at the house in Dana Point, and then we stay at someone else's house.
Like you don't really spend a week straight in any one certain point?
No.
Oh wow, your life is more hectic than I thought. Okay.
No, I
mean, we're gonna definitely do this as everybody comes down from vacation and settle down and stuff. Like you had an operation, they packing and leaving, you were traveling and da da da. Everybody missed some lesson or other. So everybody's gonna come back and settle down. We're definitely gonna work on it. So yeah, are you saying you're interested? You would like to?
Yeah, I am interested. Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, on Wednesdays, normally, like today is our travel day back to the States. Normally we would go at 8 a.m., but now we're going later so that I can be in class.
Okay, that's perfect.
I didn't, one class a week wasn't doing it for me. And during this season, we do a lot of traveling back from Baja. So just,
okay, well, your job is going to be, Heidi, to pick a subject that you want to focus on. Maybe it's verbs, maybe it's Estava, maybe it's Twi. Pick something, right? We're gonna use that as our first test subject. Preferably something you understand but can't remember, or whatever. Like don't pick the 10 out of 10. I don't understand it and never have worked.
No, I would say
don't give me the biggest monster.
Verbs for sure. I mean, your whole circle method and the voya, fuia, iba, those are pretty straightforward. But learning the verbs, that's where I get stuck.
Oh,
okay. And start singing.
When you say learning the verbs, is that the root verb or the verb endings?
Root verb, I would say. I'm always looking for the root verb to.
Okay, what I'm going to tell you to do is this. Firstly, when you get back to your house in California, print off the list of verbs again. Then take a pen, scratch off all the ones you do remember. Pretty sure like 50% of them you already know, right? I don't care how much percent, that's not the point. You just scratch off the ones you don't need to know, okay? Or highlight them, whatever method works, like differentiate them. Then highlight the ones you want to focus on. Or circle them or put a red mark next to it, whatever works. Highlight it to yourself, whatever method works for you. And then you're going to see that out of that 72 list, that's already way lower. We're going to focus on those, okay? Mm-hmm. Then depending on the number you have, break it down to categories, like 3 to 5, right? So let's say group number 1 has 3 to 5 verbs in it. Group number 2, again, 3 to 5, like, you know, digestible bits. I'm not gonna make you remember 27 new words all at once. It's not how it works, but break it to a bit of 3 to 5. Yes, do that. And then that's gonna be the starting point. And Anna Maria can do the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've done. Exactly what you're saying, Judith. I've scratched off on that verb list the ones that I do know, but what I just go back to high school. We always used flashcards. And so then I created flashcards on the verbs that I don't know. And I just take them with me. And so like, if I'm driving, obviously I can't do this, but if somebody else is driving, you know, like if your husband's driving, Heidi, or something, I just bring my flashcards in, I go through them and I say them to the person in the car. Like, hey, do you know what this is? And then when I know them, I put them in a separate pile. That I know them, and then I can take them everywhere, because the sticky notes didn't work for me too, because I'm kind of all over the place, but the flashcards seem to work for me. So I have the Spanish verb in front and then the answer in English in the back. So I don't know, that's how I do it.
Okay, great. Heidi, maybe you can do those flashcards and keep them in your house in San Felipe, right? Like, hopefully, I don't know, I hope you come back in the next month or two so you'll get a chance to use them. If not, do it in California. I would highly recommend a physical thing. If you're going to use an app on your phone, that it's a sticky note app or whatever, research showed that years of evolution hardwired our system. When you write something, the more your physiology is involved in the process, the more you anchor the information. Tapping on a screen is a relatively new process, so you don't retain the information. I'm sorry, like it's a temporary memory cell gets recycled. Doing this won't make you remember. So although physical flashcards may not fit into your lifestyle, at least once do the job of writing them.
I do
Maybe
have
a smaller notebook.
cards.
Yeah.
I just need to spend more time on it.
Okay. Make it playful,
I need to
right?
have them in my purse, and I mean, Joe and I usually split up our drives. You know, he drives to LA, I drive home, or I drive in Mexico, he drives in the States when we come down here. So,
yeah. Oh, and then when he's not driving, he can ask you.
Yeah. And I mean, it's my Spanish classes have got everybody in our crew. You know, it's not unusual for us to have 6 or 8 people. Like, everybody is speaking Spanish more now.
That's good.
Make it playful. Use those flashcards like to live out your wildest fantasies. If you want to have birds and butterfly stickers on them from your lost childhood, kind of skulls and rock guitars like Anna Maria. Like, the goal is to make it playful and fun, and it's something you want to touch. It's not a homework chore. It's not boring. It's not college exam. It's like the opposite. Whatever works for you, right? Go nuts. Explore your creativity. One of the things in school, they didn't really allow you to explore the alternative ways in which you retain information. It was always very much a dogma. Like, this is how you learn. Memorize this. Like, those are the rules. Like, it's very dogmatic. A lot of people don't resonate with that mold. They're like more different flow of information. So if you've never had the chance to explore, go explore. You're a smart, brilliant, creative person. Like, I'm sure you can do a lot. Bring it to class.
Okay.
Okay. And so, Heidi, I'll see you the week after the 22nd. And Anna Maria, I'll see you on Friday.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Download this lesson because Skype will stop working on May 5th, and we want to make sure we download everything.
Okay.
All right. Hasta la vista, babies.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.